Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving right into a formal investment pitch that's all about totally transforming Southeast Asia's stagnant textile sector into tech-enabled entrepreneurial innovation hubs. We're drawing from an incredibly detailed World Bank Group Youth Summit case and framing this as a strategic proposition for high-level stakeholders. So let's get right into it. We've got a really structured roadmap today for institutional investors and policymakers looking to harness the region's youth dividend. We'll quickly run through the demographic reality, the perception gap, our specific Smart Techs Hub solution, tech and mentorship, a 2-year investment roadmap, and finally, the risks and impact. All right, Section 1, the demographic reality. Let's kick things off by looking at the critical macroeconomic situation currently facing lower middle-income countries like Cambodia, Laos PDR, and Myanmar. We are looking at a massive, explosive gap between available youth and actual employment opportunities. Just compare these regional labor market trends. We have a staggering 320 million young people reaching working age over the next decade. But get this, current projections suggest only 110 million new jobs will actually be available. That is a massive surplus of human potential just waiting to be tapped. And here's the crazy part. Despite manufacturing accounting for over 20% of GDP in many of these regions, literally acting as the central pillar of economic growth, the sector is completely failing to attract the domestic labor force it needs to survive. Small and medium enterprises are struggling to hire, despite millions of youth looking for work. We desperately need to bridge this gap between youth aspirations and actual manufacturing opportunities. Which brings us to Section 2, the perception gap. So why on earth are young people shunning a sector that desperately needs their talent? Well, using strict MEC logic to ensure we're looking at the whole picture, we can categorize these barriers into structural and cultural buckets. Culturally, there's a huge myth that factory work is just monotonous, repetitive sweatshop labor. Then you have this systemic brain drain pulling all the skilled workers to higher wage destinations. Add in vocational training systems that completely miss the mark on modern tech needs, and it's really no surprise that only 12% of youth are willing to work in this sector in the future. We absolutely have to design messaging strategies that bust these negative cultural myths wide open. You can really see the frustration when you contrast this with regional success stories in other sectors. I mean, look at electronics and automotive. They've aggressively adopted robotics and AI automation. They're futuristic. Meanwhile, the textile sector has remained mostly unchanged for decades, stuck relying on low-tech manual output. No wonder young people are looking elsewhere, right? So our core challenge here is a complete rebrand. We need to reposition the manufacturing sector as an aspirational, tech-enabled career pathway. We've got to shift the entire narrative from outdated factory conditions to sleek, modern digital ecosystems. Let's jump to Section 3, Solution, Smart Textile Hubs. Instead of throwing a bunch of broad initiatives at the wall, we are prioritizing one primary solution for this roadmap, transforming traditional, outdated factories into modern automated hubs. We need to reframe factory work from manual labor to a genuinely innovative entrepreneurial opportunity. We're talking about the factory of the future. By bringing in specific tech solutions like AI and robotics, we make these textile jobs sustainable and modern, which is exactly what attracts young talent who want to work with cutting-edge tools. To pull this off, we're using a user-centric framework to build a compelling value proposition. We have to design a solution that balances routine job displacement with the actual augmentation of human labor. It's about showing young people exactly what changes for them, framing these modern roles as innovative pathways that connect directly into a broader entrepreneurial life cycle. Moving right along to Section 4, Tech and Mentorship. Now, to effectively recruit this next generation and scale our strategies, we have to translate these technical factory changes into concepts they already understand. Think about it this way. Managing an automated robotic loom today, it's actually way closer to setting up a smart home routine on your smartphone app than it is to traditional manual sewing. When we use simple, everyday comparisons like this, the intimidation factor completely vanishes. We are demystifying the factory floor by speaking their language. And we can directly map traditional skills to these emerging tech roles to fix those glaring vocational training gaps. Manual sewing? That evolves into a robotics dashboard manager. Repetitive assembly becomes an AI output analyst. To make this happen, industry leaders can partner with local universities to establish powerful mentorship models. Imagine matching experienced senior engineers directly with rural youth apprentices to co-design upskilling pathways. It's a total game changer for sustainable careers. All right, Section 5, 2-year investment roadmap. Implementation is everything. Here is our formal 2-year roadmap with clear funding and partner milestones. This strict 24-month timeline leans heavily on government policy and regional manufacturing partnerships. In the first 6 months, we're designing blended finance mechanisms and deploying targeted government grants so local firms can actually afford the upfront costs of these technology upgrades. By year 2, we are piloting the smart textile hubs and leveraging specific tax incentives to actively encourage that sustainable automation. Finally, Section 6, risks, mitigations, and impact. Obviously, no high-level investment pitch is complete without addressing the implementation risks, but we have an answer for every major barrier to secure a sustainable, long-term talent pipeline. High cost of AI adoption for SMEs. We roll out those blended finance options and government grants. Rural youth lack access to training facilities. We improve infrastructure connectivity between industrial zones and urban centers. And if the training doesn't match what the industry actually needs, we literally co-design the upskilling pathways directly with the private sector. These defined KPIs establish our theory of change. We are tracking project success over the 2-year period, starting from basic factory exposure programs and tech upskilling, leading to trained youth and strong industry partnerships. The ultimate outcome? Improved perception and an actual transition of youth into these tech jobs, which connects directly to long-term environmental, social, and economic stability for Southeast Asia. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought to consider. If we successfully transform the traditional factory floor into a true innovation hub, will this 320 million strong youth generation become the ultimate architects of Southeast Asia's economic future? Think about how you can participate in this vital manufacturing evolution. By modernizing these perceptions and integrating automation, the potential for economic returns and community impact is simply staggering. Thanks for joining this explainer, and we'll see you next time.